Welcome to Dear Sandy. I'm Sandy Galiff, a member of the New York State Assembly, representing parts of northern Westchester and parts of Putnam County. And today we're going to be talking about a wonderful, wonderful organization, Habitat for Humanity. And they have done so much in our community and in the whole country. And I have to find out if they're on a national level. So I'm going to turn to my wonderful guest, Jim Killoran, who is the executive director, or the man in charge and janitor and doing everything for Habitat in Westchester County.
Right. I mean, I've been on the boards of New York City and Putnam Habitat, Litchfield County, Connecticut, Paterson, New Jersey, and now I'm honored to be here as Habitat director, and we're still going. And you were there in the early rounds with us too, right, Sandy. So
you were saying that Habitat is in Westchester about 30 years. It is 30 years old.
It's our 30th anniversary, 1988. So we've got a number of events through the whole year, which is exciting. And we've only just begun. We're only warming up. And we think we're probably the most important thing that New York needs, which is affordable homes for its citizens.
Right. Let me go back to that question I had. Does Habitat expand into other countries?
We're the number one builder in the country. We're 14th in the world. I've been to El Salvador, Belfast, Mexico, Haiti. I want to say muchas bendiciones para la persona en el huracano, from Puerto Rico a Mexico, and otro. We've been all over. We build all over. Hardest place for anyone to own a home is New York. And I know you want to change that, and I want to change that. That's our mission.
Right.
Absolutely.
So why is it so hard? So you're here to try to get affordable housing for people so that people get their first home, or where they have a wonderful place to live. I don't know whether any of them start out on a rental basis and then buy it, but you know, that's what you're trying to do, your goal, right?
Right, we're no down payment, interest-free. So imagine if everyone had an interest-free mortgage. Not all bankers like that, but that's okay. We go by what the Torah and the Bible and the Quran say: don't charge interest to your brother and sister. And we always say if everyone who said they love God worked together, everybody would have a home today in New York.
So, but how do you get a loan for somebody without paying?
So we are constantly raising money, constantly. Or if a plumber donates plumbing, that's $15,000 worth of labor. If I get sheetrock donated by Chimenti Construction, that's another $5,000. I have high school kids, 50 high schools in the county volunteer with us, 14,000 college students, companies. It's just allowing people who say they want to walk the talk to come out and build. If I get a windows donated or carpet donated from a company. So as well as foundations, as well as a walk for homes, as well as sponsorship of homes. Horace Mann High School, we were talking during the break, Harvard's endowment could build everyone a house in this country. Horace Mann has sponsored 5 homes with us out of their endowment. So they're walking the talk, and they send every student out. So it's really a critical time in New York, at a time where we are the most exited state in the country. For New Yorkers, we believe, for working families and for seniors, we also rehab seniors' homes, because on the highest taxed, in the highest tax county in the country, it's once you're on a fixed income, no matter what age, it's hard to maintain your home and pay. And we call that brush with kindness. And we really see a lot of seniors who are really burdened and living in substandard housing in towns from Millwood to Scarsdale to Rye to Briarcliff, as well as all the other ones that you would traditionally think. So we're at a crucial time, and partnering with great people like you and volunteers to help us do it, and to help to convince that it's not a bad thing for New Yorkers to be able to live here intergenerationally.
Right.
And that's our goal.
Which is wonderful. I think the first time I met you was you had taken, I think, an old home in Osnane, near the fire station. It had been a home. Did you? I can't remember whether you tore it down and built it up.
So there was one that we built new, and we have local committees all over the county. And Jerry Fiello, Tom Cambieri, God rest his soul, was on the committee, the Chamber of Commerce, John Gallagher, Ralph Degnan. And we found a piece of land next to the firehouse, and we built a beautiful home where the mortgage is paid for, and the kids have graduated college, and Lillian and her family and Stavel, who a disabled son, only a name, he's awesome, one of my heroes, have paid off their mortgage. And then we have knocked down homes, though we've also rehabbed zombie homes, which are result of many of the 2008 foreclosure crisis, or where we've taken former crack homes and made them veterans homes, or made them a home for a family from Yonkers to White Plains to Ossining to Peekskill. So it's harder to rehab a zombie home, but when you do that, it also helps appreciate the value of the whole neighborhood.
Oh, the whole neighborhood.
Right,
I know,
so,
we get so many phone calls on that.
Well, those are ones you'd probably want to call me and say, hey, Jim, can you go look at this house?
Right. So is it harder to build from scratch with volunteers, or is it harder to rehab?
You never know what a rehab's going to have or what the challenges are. So the wall might look good from the outside, but the structure inside might have a fire, or it might need to be totally gutted, like some of the pictures we're showing today. So people will say, why does it take so long? Well, I said, you know, the Quaker church you gave us in Chapel was on 2 cinder blocks about that thick, and thank God, because it would have fallen down on somebody. So
was that a true story about
yeah,
the Quaker church?
We are doing that, and we actually are looking at, we have to think different. We're in a different, you know, what is an atypical? I always say, have a new vision for New York, a new vision for a neighborhood. Every neighborhood needs to be NMU like you. Can you say NMU?
NMU?
No more ugly. It
Oh,
needs
no
to be
more ugly.
pretty
Okay.
like you.
NMU.
Every neighborhood needs to be beautiful for every kid in this county.
Right.
And that's our
Right.
mission too. So besides just rehabbing the house, we donate planters, we paint the park. I have thousands of volunteers.
I actually remember going up to one, I think in Cortland, where a lot of that was happening outside the house, and I was looking, you know, at the flowers, the planters, the whatever, and I thought, oh, how nice that is.
It's not just like, you know, the typical thought of affordable housing is a negative connotation in a way, or the project that is rentals, and some of the finest people I know live in rental projects or residences or campuses, but we want to make it beautiful. And there's no reason why it should, you know, and that's, we are building planters. I have 160 donated planters to 3 cities. And if any town or cities would like to have planters donated, we're glad to do it. We make them in our builder's school, and we're making furniture, and we want every youth and adult to learn to build again, to build this table. With the utmost respect to China, I want to make it here, and that's not a statement for anybody.
Right.
But to make things and have our youth make furniture and make homes, you know, and learn how to build again is much better than texting and computers. And we've kind of demeaned that. We actually wiped it out of our education, which is...
We used to have, in the schools, you used to have shop.
Yeah.
Do we still? I have a feeling
it's
that
minimal.
Minimal.
It's minimal.
Right, minimal.
We're the shop of tomorrow. I had 120 kids go on a camp this summer learning to build with us. We're going to make that into an all year round building program. And all this is, habitatwc.org. It has to happen. You know, what you and I have seen just over the last 3 months of disasters, of from hurricanes to what we saw in Hurricane Sandy, to tornadoes that hit up through the area here, to floods. You know, I say our kids are sterilized, and you know, the computers aren't going to make them have an ability to live on their own. And so we also want kids to learn to grow food. In World War II, 20 million people had victory gardens. We need victory in our communities again, especially in New York, and have our youth learn to use these for building and growing food, and having ownership of their neighborhood and being empowered, no matter what background, what ethnicity, what race, to be able to make every neighborhood NMU, and whether you're GED or PhD, learn to build. And we have that. People are hungering to do that.
So let's go to the building part of it. I think that's so exciting that you're teaching people, because
we talked about your father who loved to build.
My father loved to build.
And everyone had a workshop.
And everybody had a workshop. I remember the garage. We often didn't park our car in our one-car garage because there was a lot of work going on, and my father was building onto the house and so on, and absolutely loved it. You know, I picked up some of his skills, not in that area, but I sew, and I can make curtains and all that kind of stuff.
And sewing is great. I know men and women who sew, who are designers of today.
Right, but most people are just not doing that anymore. It's like when something breaks, it gets thrown away because nobody knows how
To a certain
repair it.
extent, you know, our new immigrant of today is cutting our lawns, is building, is sewing. You know, my mother sewed our Halloween costumes. We were 3 pumpkins. The
Oh,
three
you must
colors.
have been great. You were a little smaller then.
It was
I
a
guess,
little
right?
well. I was a little heavier then, so I looked like a pumpkin. So I think that was part of it. But you know, you learning that skill
Right.
is just unbelievable,
Right.
and it sets a tone to be a CEO of a company that makes things for tomorrow. Be it Blue Jean Insulation, we have Madewell, and the Blue Jean Insulation Company volunteering with us, where I've asked them to start a factory creating jobs there, which is healthier than fiberglass. Making furniture in our Made in America shop. We've had one before. We're going to.
So do you have anything, what's going on in Westchester or
Yeah.
around
So
here
today,
with
as we speak, we're building in Chappaqua,
right?
Millwood, Austining, helping a senior who's home. He has no hot water, and his wife got hit by a car and had 2 kids with muscular dystrophy, and we're helping to rehab his home while the whole neighborhood gets appreciated.
Right.
I have a veteran who for 3 years has had no running water in his home. I mean, you know,
How do you find out about that
I get
individual?
calls, and before it was me knocking on all the doors. Now I'm getting calls from senior groups, from building departments, from mayors, from state senators, from neighbors. This is neighbor needs to be neighbor to neighbor, and if people are living in squalor, it's not about us just saying that old person lives there. You know, one woman in Pelham who's, oh, I have a radio show. I listen on the radio show. I don't trust dealing with the political for whatever, you know, because
this individual trusts
because
you.
the neighbors are complaining rightly so to the leaders, and the
Right.
leaders have to respond.
Right.
And the leader said, "Jim, will you go help her?" So it's rather than having this contentious, let's kick a person out. Let's that senior. They don't belong there.
Right.
Or they
So you're dealing with people with smaller issues and
larger
a total
issues.
house.
Yeah. So
Right.
the Brush with Kindness program goes from light, you know, front rehab or painting a porch or fixing a porch or to a critical need of can we replace a boiler, can we, roofs are hard, you know, it's talking about more costs into that. Can we get someone to sponsor it or donate it or someone from the community to gutting zombie homes and appreciating the whole neighborhood and taking over the whole neighborhood. So we've gone from that small house for Lillian and that one house project to looking at the whole neighborhood and being rehabbers and revitalization people of all neighborhoods, because I have so many volunteers. So if you give me 500 people from your congregation, I'll transform a neighborhood once a month with you and make it NMU. Now there's a lot of logistics, but like a SWAT team, we go in, and that base of people, I have 15,000 unpaid staff, volunteers. It's not enough. That base of people, I always ask, by the way, if there's a disaster, will you help me? Will you help me if there's a disaster? Because I did deliver generators up here after lights went out.
After Hurricane Sandy?
And remember the tornado, we were asked to help, and I've cut trees down. So we did 200 homes in the floods of Mamaroneck, which gave expertise for me to go and bring 9,000.
So somebody would call you, would that be the police or the municipality?
All of the above.
All the
Anyone
above,
who
or
knows,
the Red Cross or whatever.
Right, and we partner with the Red Cross, we partner with others, but because we have so many volunteers on demand, about 200 a week at least, and so this weekend I'll have 7 different groups in 4 different towns and cities, from high schools to companies to congregations to individuals. It's wherever I need them. So my whole wall is that chalkboard paint of 4 months. Say, okay, who do we have this weekend, where we're going to send them? What's the need?
Right.
What's their skill base? Who do we have? And
So some start out with probably no skill base, but they learn quickly on the job.
But we're all, on the job training is the best for anything,
is
all right?
best.
We know that. So we're constantly teaching. And then
Right.
some come with skills, you know,
Right.
and or if a construction company says, I want to volunteer and I'll do trim on a house and give back, and we give them name recognition, or Chimenti Construction or the World Trade Center, Marty Berger, all of those add to it. So it's a cacophony of hammers and drills and putting up sheetrock and teaching and having fun and not knowing whether you're next to a certain religion or a CEO or the community service person. we're like the Quaker or the kibbutz of church of yesterday, or building together no matter what faith or background or no faith. We're just trying to help everyone live decently in one of the wealthiest counties in the country. So I always say I have the most stupid job in the country. I want to build affordable homes in Westchester, but I have more people.
That's a hard one. So, well, early on you said it's really hard in New York to do this. Is it getting easier? So you basically prioritize Westchester, I guess.
So yeah. So if you think of upstate, you can get land or foreclosures a lot easier, right?
Right. Okay. There's more land available.
To me, if New York you should have the priority. Every town and city should have a commission that affordable ownership needs to be part of the fabric. I mean, it's like, it's almost like a note. Why am I look like I have three heads that I want to say, I want to build a veterans home in your town, and the whole, why should anyone raise a flag on Memorial Day if you don't let me? Why should anyone be elected?
Right.
And that isn't targeted at you.
Except we've had such a hard time, and we've had to go through court cases and everything else to get people
a lot of it is greed,
respond.
It's prejudice, it's fears, and it goes to the point when our house became a commodity versus an intergenerational community, like you have with your kids in Austin. One of the reasons I love Austin and Peekskill is that they're intergenerational communities. But when I'm thinking about I'm going to sell the house, or maybe the star exemption is okay, but it's not enough for the seniors' burden right now. The veterans exemption is okay, but we have to have a plethora of opportunities that's going to allow our New Yorkers to stay here. The answer isn't Florida. It's not Houston anymore or Texas. It's not overdevelopment. It's not high rises. It's using the talent that we have here. I mean, we have the highest SATs and the brain power and the wealth, and put it and we send it into Manhattan. That's another problem. Every day. Stop that. We got the internet. We're announcing it here. We're going to make Wall Street in Westchester and keep some of that talent here so they can see their kids at 5 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock, and brainstorm with all backgrounds and plant seeds of a future generation that's going to be able to live in New York and not leave it.
Are some of your projects to help maybe older people or well, it's probably older senior citizens move from a bigger home to smaller properties so that they can stay within the community?
Here's one of the models I'd like to introduce, and maybe it can help champion that. So if we could add a granny apartment, onto the back of our house.
Yes.
So say use you and I. I mean, you're 50, I'm 51. We're gonna, when we get to be 65, we'll put an addition onto the back of our home, live with our husband or live with and then we can rent our house out. We'll let our kids live in front with a locked door. But so that model of allowing us to live where our community is, with aging in place, wider doors, a ramp, being able to be added on. That model is one we want to introduce aggressively in the county here. So that would be, there might be zoning changes that are necessary. But
I actually got a bill passed a long time ago for Cortland, and I don't know whether they actually used it, but to be able to put an accessory apartment for a relative on your house.
Right, well, and that's exactly
or
what,
somebody that's disabled.
And we can do that in a second. And I really want to thank you, Sandy, because you've always been one of those people that I think represent the people without looking to see how much it was a gain for yourself. And politics has lost that in a lot of ways, where people started poor and they're millionaires. And there's nothing wrong with millionaires. I have many who help me, and I have many who...
You need their money for your housing.
Right. Well, we need every
and their skills.
Every dollar, and they need us.
Right.
Everyone's put on life to help each other. And whether you have $1 in your pocket or $1 million, people are either happy or miserable. And when you learn that lesson, then everything changes. And that doesn't matter how much you have. And everyone is wealthy and everyone's a philanthropist. And so we welcome everybody at the dance, if you will.
Right. So I did notice that you had a photograph somewhere of West Point, people helping you.
West Point helped me.
How does that work?
I almost want to cry because, I have West Pointers who now are majors. and they started with me when they were cadets. And we just had a cookout Friday for someone who's going to Kuwait, who I was asked to go to his wedding, an impromptu quick wedding, who was an NYPD cop out of Yonkers. They've come with me for over 25 years. And so I've got a group of 50 West Points that's coming. So imagine 50 West Pointers coming to your neighbor. You say, what's going on?
Right. Do they look like West Point when they come to you?
Everyone wants to know when West Point is coming, because they come in their outfits, and we know they're going to get you know, 2 days work done. And they're saying whatever you need, and they can gut a house, they can put on a roof,
right.
And they love it. And so I have just this semester alone, I have 3 days of West Point next semester, and they keep coming. So, and what a privilege it is, because they put their life on our line at a time we don't know if there's going to be a war or someone's pushing some button somewhere, sadly to say, and every soldier, and you can remember back to when World War II was, not that you remember were in it during that time, but my uncles and aunts would talk about, you know, you'd go to the grave, and every soldier protects our life. And my cousin was killed in Vietnam. We lost that for a while, and now it's coming back, and every veteran should come back to a home and a job.
Right. Well, there have been a lot of those discussions, especially here in Peekskill.
Yeah, Peekskill
with talking about the veterans and how we need to care for them when they come back, and they don't necessarily have housing.
Well, you can't, means everything without housing, even if you have transitional housing, you graduate, there's nothing out there. Put the services around the needs and make it permanent housing. Ownership. Right. And then have...
So what's the advantage of ownership? I mean, I know...
Well, the ownership is you're creating wealth. We're creating taxpayers. You're not creating a subsidized unit for our grandkids. And you're creating wealth, and with support, and with... you know, we make families go through financial counseling. We have a Habitat for Veterans Facebook page. My assistant is a wounded warrior who fought in Iraq. We just started a women's veteran support group, and we also have a broader number of veterans events that we do. So there's not an isolation. Like, not everyone knows what a DD-214 is. But if you're a veteran, you know what it is, and that's your Social Security card to know I served here or I served there. So it's just an honor for me. I'm a son of American Legion, and we've rehabbed and painted. This weekend we just painted 20 picnic tables with a high school soccer group, and they were all red, white, and blue. But they were all different designs. So one was a flag, the other was a Jason Pollock, I get it, girl. You know, the artist Pollock type. Another one was squares. So
and where are they going?
That one was in New Rochelle, and in Peekskill. We've been asked. I've been honored to speak at the Rotary. I've been talking. Every year I brought up to Montrose with the Vietnam veteran food. Going back to Don Bennett's time, was now in the Carolinas, and I've been, before it was in vogue to help veterans, we've been doing it. You know, it's in vogue kind of to pick up the, you know, because we're in war, so we better help them. You know, but we've been rehabbing senior veterans homes. And Montrose, a guy came back from Iraq, and we surprised him, and we painted his whole house, so when his family.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Yeah, and I'm very selfish. I love to see people happy.
Right.
So my
I know, and I've seen the people that have been in your housing, they're very, very happy.
Yeah.
And so many of them, I don't know whether all of them, but have put sweat equity into it.
You have to put 500 hours of sweat equity. So you're learning how to build your house, and you say, hey, I put up that wall. I know there's the insulation.
So you can't just give money. You have to go in.
Yeah.
You have to go in and
do sweat
some
equity.
Work.
Yeah, right. And if you can't do the house, you can work on the restore. Or you can help to be in the office. So there's a variety of things. Sylvia just graduated college in the Habitat home, and we're even seeing some families looking to get a second Habitat home, meaning the kids are saying, how do I get a Habitat home? There's also first-time home buyer programs. A lot of people don't know. But really, and like I said, we're like the Levittown of yesteryear. If you can really have an intergenerational New York that people will say, I don't want to leave New York. I don't want to go to, nothing against Florida, I don't want to go to Florida. I'm staying here with my kids in Ossining, in Croton, in Peekskill.
And we want people to be able to stay and have that choice, very definitely.
And with the, you know, it's really the #1 issue for the success of New York. And if we don't think it is, we're kidding ourselves. And we've got to think intergenerationally, rather than long range, and that includes everyone involved. And we challenge the faith community, the small business and the large business, the education community be part of the solution, because a lot of times we put it all.
You're a good salesperson, because I bet you go into a hardware store and talk to them.
I walk out with nails if I can. I've spoken to 60 companies on Wall Street, and I've spoken to 60 rabbis, ministers, and priests in a faith convention. You know, everyone's welcome at the table, and that's what it's about, and that's really the gift of what our communities are about: our diversity, our love of this great country, and our love of New York. That if we can make it here, we need to make it here, and we need to be able to afford to make it here.
So, Jim, if somebody hasn't had somebody say to them, well, we're starting a habitat restoration in our community, how do people reach out to you
so
to
they can
be involved?
Call me directly, 914-403-4821. Go to habitatwc.org. Follow us on Twitter, HabitatWC, and Instagram with Habitat WC. And really, our headquarters right now is in New Rochelle. We're looking to expand that. But more importantly, in every town and city, if you want a habitat project to start, we create these local project committees. John Gallagher has been on it and continues to help 25 years
He's
later.
an Austin resident, right?
We have committees in Peekskill. Bless Louis Lanza has held a festival for us, and we had Don Bennett on the committee, and we had Drew and the mayor. Frank helped us as well with helping with the fire victims, where we helped 100 fire victims from Fremont Street, and we set up a warehouse and donated furniture from our restore to them.
So tell me about the restore. So somebody brings in.
So the restore,
old
and here's
furniture
another. Don't buy on a computer. That's part of our mission. Buy small business. We have a restore, 800 in the country. So when they change this table and the chairs, which are perfectly good, we might take them. And this is a good kitchen table for I'd use it for somebody, right?
And maybe somebody wanted it a little bit lower, so you might cut off
the legs. Right. And your father got someone to do it, right? Or one of our building campers. So Boardwalk Empire donates something. A house is knocked down, or someone buys a house and they don't like the 2-year-old cabinets, so we take those. We've helped over 4,000 families just with the restore, and they're in Westchester, they're in Putnam, they're in Dutchess. The restore recycles, reuses, and allows New Yorkers to save for affordable housing. And then if there's a fire, or if there's a family that you know of, say, Jim, there's nothing, they got burned out, they got evicted, you call me, and I said, come on, send them down, we'll give them free furniture. So we've done that. We did that with it's just a real community.
Jim, you've done a fantastic job for 30 years in our community, and
a torch will be passed.
Another many years of doing great work. And I just want to encourage everybody to phone you, to be involved with Habitat for Humanity.
And donate. We can use it during this time of the year.
Yep, you need donations.
HabitatWC.org.
Okay.
And get habititis. You've had it for 20 years. We want every one of your viewers to get it.
Right. Thank you so very much for being here.
We appreciate all you do, Sandy.
And thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, either give Habitat for Humanity a phone call or call me at my office, 914-941-1111. Have a good evening, and be involved in your community with affordable housing. Thank you.